The lawyer looked down at the paper and read, "To my granddaughter Maya, I leave my collection of old recipe books and kitchen items." My Aunt Diane laughed out loud. "Oh, perfect. The housekeeper gets the trash." How fitting. My twin cousins Vanessa and Bridget were smirking at me from across the table. They'd just been handed property deeds and fat checks. Everyone in that office was staring at me. My cheeks burned. I sat there frozen, wondering if Grandma Rose had ever really seen me at all. Or maybe she had. My name is Maya. I'm 26 years old. And I need to tell you how I got here, sitting in that lawyer's office feeling smaller than I've ever felt in my life. I'm a home care nurse. Was anyway. For the last 2 years before she passed, I took care of my Grandma Rose. I was there every single week, sometimes twice a week. I'd help her bathe, cook her meals, sit with her while she told me stories about the old country, about coming to America with nothing. My twin cousins, Vanessa and Bridget, showed up once a year. Maybe, just long enough to snap a family photo for Instagram and leave, but somehow I was still treated like the help. See, my family never forgave me for choosing nursing school over business school. I didn't wear the right clothes, I didn't have the right job, I didn't move in the right circles. At family dinners, they literally seated me at the kids' table. I'm not exaggerating. I was 25 years old, sitting with my second cousin's toddler while the adults ate filet mignon in the other room. My parents divorced when I was young. My mom raised me alone. She died when I was 22. Cancer. After that, Grandma Rose was supposed to be my real family connection, the one person who actually saw me. Or so I thought. I wasn't polished. I wasn't connected. I wore scrubs and thrift store jeans while Vanessa and Bridget wore Chanel. But I had something they never bothered to learn. Something Grandma knew I had. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because what happened next changed everything. That day, sitting in the lawyer's office, I thought Grandma's gift was an insult. A bunch of old recipe books and some kitchen junk. Meanwhile, my cousins were getting beach houses and cash. Aunt Diane was getting investment properties. I walked out of that office with a cardboard box under my arm and tears in my eyes. I had no idea that box held a blueprint worth millions. 1 week after the will reading, Aunt Diane decided to host a celebration dinner. She didn't invite me, not formally anyway. Vanessa texted me the morning of, "You can come if you want, I guess." I should have stayed home. But I was desperate. I wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere. So I showed up at the country club in the only nice dress I owned. The hostess looked at her seating chart, frowned, and led me to a tiny table shoved near the kitchen entrance. Alone. The rest of my family was seated together at a large round table in the center of the room. I could hear every word they said. Bridget was talking about Grandma's beach house. "We're converting it into a rental. Easy passive income." Vanessa nodded, sipping her wine. "I'm investing my cash. Unlike some people, we actually know how to build wealth." They both looked directly at me. I pretended not to notice. I stared at the menu like it was the most interesting thing I'd ever read. Then Aunt Diane walked over to my table. She had this fake, sweet smile plastered on her face. "Sweetie," she said, "did you bring those old recipe books? I want to see if there's anything worth keeping before you donate them." I told her I was going through them carefully. She laughed. Not a kind laugh. A sharp, cutting laugh. "Don't get sentimental, Maya. Your grandmother left you junk because, well, you two were on the same level. She cleaned houses before she married up. You clean bedpans. It's almost poetic." The entire section of the restaurant went silent. I felt every pair of eyes on me. My throat closed up. I couldn't breathe. The waiter came over with my plate. He leaned down and whispered, "I heard that. It was cruel." I'm really sorry. I nodded. I couldn't speak. I left cash on the table for a meal I didn't touch and walked out. In the parking lot, I stood by my car, shaking. I opened the trunk and stared at the cardboard box, the stack of old recipe books, and sitting on top, a locked antique metal recipe box I hadn't opened yet. My phone buzzed. Vanessa had posted an Instagram story, a group photo from inside the restaurant. Everyone was smiling. The caption read, "Family dinner, minus the help." I stared at that laughing emoji until my vision blurred with tears. Then I picked up the metal recipe box. I ran my fingers over the worn edges. Maybe it's time I actually listened to what Grandma was trying to tell me, I whispered. 2 months passed. November came. Thanksgiving. I woke up that morning and checked Instagram out of habit. Bad idea. My entire family was gathered at Aunt Diane's house. There were photos everywhere. The table was set with crystal glasses and fall decorations. Everyone was dressed up, laughing, holding champagne flutes. I hadn't been invited. Not even a courtesy text. I messaged Bridget. My hands were shaking as I typed, "Hey, I didn't get an invite for today. Was there a miscommunication?" She replied within seconds. "We're keeping it intimate this year. Just real family, you know?" I stared at the message. I typed back, "I am real family." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. You know what I mean. People who actually contribute something. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I spent Thanksgiving alone in my studio apartment, eating a microwaved meal, scrolling through their photos. Every single post felt like a knife. The week after Thanksgiving, I ran into Vanessa at Whole Foods. She was with her fiancé, Trevor. Polished guy, finance type, expensive suit even on a weekend. She was introducing him to people she knew, showing him off. Then she saw me. Her smile went tight. She gave me this little nod like I was a stranger. Trevor didn't know any better. He walked right up to me, hand extended. "Oh, you're the cousin Vanessa mentioned. Really nice to meet you." Vanessa cut in immediately. "Distant cousin, we're not close." I felt my stomach drop. "I was at your grandmother's bedside every single week for 2 years," I said quietly. Vanessa's voice went ice cold. "Yeah, because you didn't have anything better to do. Some of us have actual careers." Trevor shifted uncomfortably. He could feel the tension, but Vanessa wasn't done. She got louder. "No offense, Maya, but nursing is just grunt work. Grandma knew that. That's why she left you the junk drawer of her entire estate." Other shoppers turned to look. My face burned. I abandoned my cart right there in the aisle and left the store. I cried the whole drive home. But that night, something changed. A month later, Aunt Diane called me. Her voice was suddenly warm, sweet, like nothing bad had ever happened. "Maya, honey, I've been thinking about you so much. I feel terrible about how things have been. I didn't trust it, but I was lonely. I was desperate for connection." She said she wanted to make it right. She invited me to help catalog Grandma's belongings at the beach house. I drove 3 hours to the coast. I actually thought maybe she meant it. Maybe we could fix this. When I arrived, Aunt Diane handed me industrial trash bags and yellow cleaning gloves. "Oh, thank God you're here," she said. "The cleaning company wanted $800. Since you did this kind of work for Grandma anyway, I figured." I looked past her. Vanessa and Bridget were on the porch, wine glasses in hand, feet propped up on chairs. They weren't lifting a finger. They weren't there to help. They were there to supervise, to make sure I did it right. Bridget called out, "Make sure you don't accidentally throw away anything valuable, Maya. We know money's tight for you." She was implying I might steal. I bit my lips so hard I tasted blood. I started cleaning in silence. I sorted through boxes, folded clothes, scrubbed counters. For over an hour, I worked alone while they sipped wine and laughed about Vanessa's wedding plans. Then I stopped. I put down the trash bag. I took off the gloves. And I walked to my car without saying a word. Aunt Diane came running after me. "Where are you going? We're not done. Maya, don't be so sensitive." I got in my car. I drove away. I gripped the steering wheel and sobbed the whole drive home. But here's what they didn't know. During those months of rejection, while they were excluding me and insulting me and using me, I was working on something. Every single night after my nursing shifts, I went home and opened Grandma's recipe books. I'd found the key to the locked metal box. It had been tucked inside one of the cookbooks, wrapped in a piece of old lace. Inside that box were dozens of handwritten recipes, detailed notes on ingredients, supplier contacts from decades ago, photographs of Grandma as a young woman, standing in a kitchen, flour on her hands, smiling. And I started cooking. I tested every recipe. I adjusted them. I photographed each dish. I wrote down the stories Grandma had told me about where each one came from. And I started an Instagram account, Rose's Legacy Kitchen. I posted the food. I told Grandma's story, her immigrant journey, the love baked into every single recipe. No one in my family knew it existed, but people started following. Strangers. People who cared about food and history and tradition. The follower count grew. 500, 2,000, 10,000, 15,000. And the comments poured in. "When can we buy these? Do you ship?" I'd pay anything for authentic recipes like this. What they didn't know was that Grandma Rose hadn't left me junk at all. She left me a blueprint. Beneath the recipes in the metal box, I found a sealed envelope with my name on it. Inside was a letter in Grandma's shaky handwriting. "Maya, my darling girl, these recipes aren't just food, they're a business. My mother's mother taught them to me when we came to this country with nothing. I taught them to you." I sat on my kitchen floor and cried when I read that. All those afternoons I'd spent in Grandma's kitchen, I thought we were just cooking together, just spending time. But she'd been training me. Knife techniques, flavor balancing, how to source authentic ingredients, how to scale recipes for large batches. The letter continued. "Your cousins see dollar signs. You see meaning. That's why you're the only one who gets this. Build something beautiful." And there was more. A faded, handwritten business plan from 1967. Grandma had tried to start a catering company back then, but she'd faced discrimination as an immigrant woman. She never got the funding. The dream died. But she never forgot it. And now she was giving me the chance to finish what she couldn't. I'd always loved cooking, but I never saw it as anything more than a hobby. Now I understood. The Instagram engagement kept growing. People were begging to buy the food. So I started researching cottage food laws, small business licensing, commercial kitchen rentals. I'd saved $8,000 from nursing. I lived in a tiny studio, drove a beat-up car, never went out. Every penny went into savings, and now I started buying ingredients in bulk, testing packaging, building a brand, in secret. They saw me as someone with nothing, but while they were laughing, I was building something they couldn't buy or inherit, something I earned. I met James at a weekend farmer's market. I'd rented a small stand to test my products. Just a folding table, some samples, handwritten labels. James ran a successful specialty food booth a few stalls down. He was 34, former corporate marketer who'd left to pursue food entrepreneurship. He walked over, sampled one of my pierogi, and his eyes went wide. "Wait, this is restaurant quality. Actually, it's better than most restaurants. Where did you learn this?" I told him about Grandma. My voice shook. I wasn't used to people actually listening. James got serious. I've been looking for a partner. I know the business side, marketing, distribution, wholesale contracts. But my food is honestly mediocre. You have the opposite problem. He offered to partner with me. He'd handle all the business operations in exchange for an equity stake. I was terrified. I didn't trust easily anymore. But James showed me everything. His financials, his distributor relationships, letters from wholesale buyers. It was all legitimate, profitable. We started planning. Get the cottage food license. Rent commercial kitchen space. Pitch wholesale accounts to local stores. Meanwhile, Vanessa announced her engagement on Instagram. Designer ring, luxury proposal trip to Santorini, daily wedding updates, venue tours, dress fittings. Aunt Diane commented on every post. My beautiful, brilliant girl deserves the world. Christmas came. I wasn't invited to the family gathering. Again. Bridget posted a photo of their gift exchange. Everyone in matching silk pajamas. The caption, "So blessed to have a family that values success and supports each other." I knew that post was about me, but I didn't respond. I worked. James and I secured our first major contract. A regional upscale grocery chain wanted to stock 4 of our signature products in their stores. The buyer tasted our samples and said, "This is exactly what we need. Authentic, story-driven, high quality." Projected first-year wholesale revenue, $120,000. The official launch event was scheduled for 6 weeks out. We worked around the clock, perfecting recipes, designing packaging, coordinating production, and then, 2 weeks before launch, I got a certified letter from Aunt Diane's attorney. She was contesting the will, claiming Grandma Rose had been mentally incompetent and unduly influenced when she wrote it. The letter demanded I return family heirlooms of sentimental value, specifically the recipe books and the metal box. Someone had told her about the Instagram account, about the business, and now they wanted to take it, or destroy it. The letter threatened a lawsuit if I didn't comply within 30 days. I stared at that letter for a long time. I'd been silent for months. I'd let them erase me, insult me, exclude me. Not anymore. If they wanted a fight, I'd give them the truth instead. Launch day arrived. Rose's Legacy Kitchen tasting event at the upscale grocery chain's flagship store. I didn't advertise the location to my family. I kept all my posts vague. But Bridget had coincidentally posted an Instagram story that morning about shopping at that exact location. I was at the demo table in a professional chef's coat, hair pulled back, makeup done. I looked confident, polished. A crowd of over 40 customers surrounded the table, sampling products, asking questions, taking photos. The store manager was beaming. He told me it was their most successful product launch in 2 years. And then I saw them. Vanessa, Bridget, Aunt Diane, walking through the entrance. They froze when they saw the banner. Rose's Legacy Kitchen. My face on the promotional posters. Aunt Diane walked straight to the table. Her face was tight, angry. "Maya, what exactly is this?" I stayed calm, professional. "This is my business, Aunt Diane, Rose's Legacy Kitchen. We're launching in 47 stores today." Vanessa's voice was sharp. "You can't just use Grandma's name to sell some hobby food." "Actually, I can. She left me the recipes, the techniques, and her explicit blessing. It's all documented and legally mine." Bridget tried to sound authoritative. "Those recipes are family heirlooms. You're exploiting them for profit." I looked her straight in the eye. "No. You called them junk. You literally told me to donate them. Remember?" Aunt Diane lowered her voice, stepped closer. "We need to discuss this privately. You received my lawyer's letter. This isn't over." I did receive it, and I consulted my own attorney. Everything Grandma left me was mine, free and clear. Your legal contest has zero merit, and your lawyer knows it. Vanessa sneered. You can't even afford a lawyer, Maya. I have a business partner. And revenue. Turns out things change when you actually work for something instead of just inheriting it. A customer interrupted, completely oblivious to the tension. Excuse me, are you the founder? I saw the feature about you on the local morning news yesterday. Your story is so inspiring. Aunt Diane's face went pale. News feature? James walked over with a tablet, grinning. Maya, you need to see this. The website crashed overnight from traffic. We have over 3,000 online orders we're scrambling to fulfill. He showed me the dashboard, numbers climbing in real time. My hands shook. The store manager picked up the microphone. I'm thrilled to say Rose's Legacy Kitchen has already exceeded our 1-month sales projection in just 1 week. We're doubling the shelf space. The crowd applauded. Vanessa stood frozen, speechless, for the first time in her life. I turned back to my family. Grandma didn't leave me trash. She left me a legacy, and she left it to me because I was the only one who loved her without expecting a check in return. I pulled out my phone, opened a photo of Grandma's letter. I read it aloud. Maya stays because she cares, not because she wants something. The others only visit when they need a photo op or think there's money involved. She's the only one who will understand my real treasure. Diane's face flushed deep red. She was confused toward the end. The medications. She was sharper than all of us. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she knew exactly who you all were. Bridget tried a softer approach, fake sweetness dripping from every word. Maya, listen. We could help you. We have business degrees, connections. You'll fail without proper guidance. My voice broke, but I stood tall. I don't need you. I never did. I just wanted you to see me as family, as equal, as worth something. I wiped my eyes. But you never will. And I'm done waiting for your approval. Other customers were staring now. A few were filming on their phones. An older woman spoke loudly. Are these people your family? Honey, they should be celebrating you, not arguing. Diane realized they were making a scene. She tried to save face. We are proud of her. We're just concerned. I cut her off. Stop. Just stop lying. You sent me a legal threat 2 weeks ago. You called me the help at a restaurant. You excluded me from Thanksgiving. Vanessa hissed. You're being so dramatic. No, I'm being honest for the first time, and I'm asking you to leave. This is my event, my business, my moment. You're not welcome here. A security guard who'd been listening nearby stepped forward. Is there a problem, ma'am? They had no choice but to leave. Diane held her head high, but her hands were shaking. The twins whispered furiously to each other as they walked out. As the automatic doors closed behind them, a customer touched my arm gently. Are you okay? I took a deep breath. I smiled. A real smile. Yeah. For the first time in a really long time, I actually am. 3 months later, Rose's Legacy Kitchen was stocked in 47 stores across 3 states. Revenue projections for the first full year, $1.8 million. I quit my nursing job, not because I stopped valuing it, but because the business needed me full-time and it could finally support me. I moved into a small 2-bedroom house, nothing extravagant, but it's mine. The first place I've ever owned. James and I are equal partners. The partnership is thriving, built on mutual respect and hard work. The Instagram account has over 200,000 followers now. I post cooking tutorials. I share stories about Grandma Rose's immigrant journey. I educate people on food traditions and history. The comments flood in every day. Your grandma is smiling down on you. This is what real legacy looks like. You honored her better than money ever could. 2 literary agents have contacted me about a potential cookbook deal. As for my family, Aunt Diane's attorney quietly dropped the will contest. It would have become public record, made her look vindictive. Vanessa sent one text a month after the launch. Congrats on the business. That's it. I didn't reply. Bridget blocked me on all social media. I haven't reached out to any of them, and I don't plan to. There's no bitterness left, just clarity and peace. Last Sunday, I visited Grandma Rose's grave. I brought fresh flowers, white roses, her favorite. I knelt down and spoke softly. I used to think you forgot about me, Grandma, that maybe I wasn't worth much to you either. My voice cracked. But you gave me everything. You just knew I had to be ready to see it. I sat there in silence for a while. Then I smiled. I thought about the metal recipe box, now displayed proudly in my home office. About the letter I reread whenever doubt creeps in. For once, their silence didn't hurt me. It freed me. I finally understood I never needed their approval. I just needed to believe in what Grandma already saw in me. If this story touched something in you, I need you to do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one, and your stories give me strength. Maybe you've been underestimated by your family, too. Maybe someone left you something others thought was worthless, but you saw the value. Or maybe you're still waiting for your moment to prove them all wrong. Whatever your story is, you're not alone in this. This community is proof that being counted out doesn't mean you're out of the fight. Your story deserves to be heard. Share it with us in the comments. And remember, legacy isn't about what people leave you, it's about what you build with it. I'll see you in the next story.